observe in catfish, you will notice that some are darker, whilst others are light in dark. In other words, they have different types of colors in them. The common ones are the light dark and the darker ones. You might be wondering what is causing that. A lot of people believe that it they mimic the environment or the color of the water. That the color of the water influences the color of the fish. Is this true? In this video, we shall answer that question. I will give you other reasons why some catfish are darker, whilst others are light darker. My name is Abdulaziz Issa. All on this channel to share fish facts based on experience and research. Please subscribe to this channel. Now, is it actually true that the color of the water influences the color of the fish? And the simple answer is yes. Most often, the fish mimics the water color. And when you find them always in dirty, in dark water, they become darker. They become darker and otherwise. But this is not the only reason or only factor that makes the catfish darker or lighter. There are other factors. First and foremost is the water quality, which is always similar to the environment mimicry. The water quality, if you have good water in your pond and the water is always clean and clear, your fish are likely to have brighter color and not that pure dark. However, if you always leave your water to be dirty and thick, you will find your fish to also be darker. That's another factor. For instance, I was keeping my fish, they used to not that darker. I even have a picture of me holding the fish on my status and on my DP. One of our fishermen called me and told me that he needed that uh, type of fish. They are light in color. I explained to him. I said, then that's the same ones that they keep, but theirs is darker. I made them understand that because we use the recirculating aquaculture system, that always filters the water, and the water is always clear. Because of that, the fish are light and dark. So you can also implement the recirculating aquaculture system. We can install it for you, or you can learn on your own by enrolling in our course at discretion. Now let's proceed. Another factor that affects the darkness of the fish is sunlight or light exposure. In fact, fish ponds that are completely covered without light inside is proven to have producing darker fish. But those with sun exposure, where sun gets access or light gets access to them, the fish are light in dark in color as compared to those that are completely covered. Another factor, which is the third one, is genetics. Some catfish genetically are made to be darker or they are darker in nature. And whatever you do, you will still find them to be dark. So that also indicates that the fish are from their genetics. That's why they are darker or they are light and dark. Now, another one has to do with the feed and feeding practice. The quality of the feed. If they are giving them the feed that do not have enough and good quality nutrient, or you are practicing raw feeding, always overfeeding your fish, that can also lead to darkness. And then the last cause is stress. When your fish are always stressed, that can also lead to darkness of their skin. And the stressiness is often come from the water. Now, is this normal? If your catfish are dark or they are light dark, is it normal? Why should we bother? We will say that to some extent it's normal. It is normal when they are dark in color, but they are not stressed. I believe you get me right. Now, what I mean is that if they are dark in color, but they are active, they are not dull. When we give them feed, they are okay, they are fine, everything is fine for them. Then that darkness, do not worry about that. Probably that their genetics or maybe other factors affecting their darkness, but that probably will not have much effect on them. Period. But when you find them to be dark, probably they were not like that. You find that they are dark, but they're also weak as well. They are stressed as well. This is indication that it is not right. So at that time, it is not normal. Change their water or give them flotation system or just do something about that and you are good to go. Otherwise, you can subject them to disease and mortality. So always have to differentiate between just being dark and being dark because of stress or disease. And you can observe by looking at their behavior and their activeness. If you understood this, you are good to go. But it is not always the case that if they are dark, then they are bad fish. No. Now let's see how to prevent that or how to manage that. First and foremost, I mentioned earlier that water quality. So water quality is very key. Make sure that your fish are always in good and quality water. If you cannot all the time change the water, then going in for the RAS or the filtration system is your best solution. And that's why we are available. We can do that for you, or you can enroll in our course in the discussion and learn it yourself. Another thing you have to note is that practice good feeding methods. Always try to avoid overfeeding your fish because when you overfeed them, the leftover feed will decay and decompose into the pond, and that also leads to water quality issues, and that can further darken the fish skin. So practice the responsive feeding method. Give them small at a time. Observe how they take it. If they are fine, you leave them. If they need more, add them, but don't always overfeed them. Also, I do not personally recommend that you cover your fish pond completely. No, because not only darken the skin, the light also supports the fish to grow, obviously. So if you cover completely, they might not be growing well. You can provide shade, at least partial shade, and that is always will be good for your fish. Now, you can also look at the genetics. Before you buy the fish at their fingerlings, try to see the brighter color if you don't want the darker ones. It's not even that the darker ones are problematic. Sometimes they even grow fat bigger. Just that some people at other places like Africa, precise Ghana, and northern part of the country, mostly they don't let the darker ones to consume them. Yes, if you are living such places, probably you will want to avoid them. But it's not that they are bad. But even if you don't want them, then when you're going to buy, make sure that you get the lighter ones. And if you don't get the genetic, because if they are genetically dark, there's nothing you can do to change their color. It's only when they are normal in color, but these conditions that can change them to dark, then if you do these preventive measures, then you'll be free from getting your fish darker. Period. So check their genetics as well and give good nutritional feed and feed them the right way. And all this, if you put all this together, then you make sure that your fish are good. And when you feed them and notice that they have been overfed, especially when you find the feed, the leftover floating on the pond, after 10 minutes of feeding them, remove that leftover feed on the pond. Don't allow that to decay and decompose into the pond because that can also subject them to darkness of skin. Thank you so much for watching. If you have found value in the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. You can also check our resources such as our DIY fertilization system course. We also have complete fish farming course from setting up your farm to harvest. You can check it out. We also have ebook on that same subject. Check them out in the description. See you in my next video and watch out the next in the end screen. Bye.